Microsoft shares are actually moving higher today, but were certainly hurt earlier this week, yesterday, mainly after reporting disappointing quarterly results. The company citing a global slowdown of PC sales and its unwinding of the Nokia deal as it drags on the quarter.
Joining us now is Microsoft's chairman, John Thompson. And John, we want to talk about your new investment in Rubrik in a moment. But first, if we could start with Microsoft, which of course you took the helm of, or the chairmanship of, 18 months ago. It was you, the search for Satya Nadella. Do you sometimes get frustrated that the process of change is as slow as it is?
Well, quite frankly, I think the process of change at Microsoft is moving along quite well. I think Satya has outlined a very clear vision for what he wants to accomplish with the company. He has the team aligned behind him, and that's a very important aspect of any transformation. Clearly, a company of this size requires time to transform itself. So to assume that we would be able to make monumental changes in 18 months, I think is a bit unrealistic. But I think if you look at the underlying performance of the areas where we are making investments, our cloud strategy, the things that we're doing around the consumer are all important issues for us and will yield good results over time.
And just on the new Windows 10, the new operating system rolling out next week, Nadella said it will turn Windows to growth. How much do you guys have riding on this release?
Well, it's a very important release for us, make no mistake about that. And I'd rather defer to Satya to talk about the forecast than me talk about the forecast.
Let's talk about your investment in Rubrik. Given the position that you have and the previous positions that you've had within tech, I mean, you must have hundreds of opportunities, I imagine, every 6 months. Why this one? Why go personal?
Good question. So I have a view about technology that early stage companies are as much about the leaders and the teams that they assemble as the idea that they are pursuing. So oftentimes my first step in the process is to look at the leadership team and to look at what their team development strategy is and then evaluate the idea that they have. In the case of Rubrik, they clearly have an idea around transforming the way backup, archiving, and the whole data storage model works. Having been at Symantec for many years, been at IBM for many years, clearly that is an area that is needing innovation and renewal. Many of the platforms that are in place today have been around for 20 or 30 years or more. So Rubrik is at the right point at the right time with a great idea and, more importantly, an awesome team, truly an awesome team.
So, I mean, I say it does cloud storage. It seems to me that that's a pretty crowded area. There are a lot of companies doing that. What does Rubrik do differently?
Well, Rubrik has an appliance as well as a cloud-based offering, and the combination of those two really makes this a powerful offering for enterprise users. They're very much focused on the enterprise, not necessarily the consumer, where Box and Dropbox and others might be playing. So the real issue here is the unique technology platform that they are developing and how they're trying to smooth out the integration across various functions that are so important in backup and recovery. No one has quite approached the challenge the way Rubrik has, and that's what made it so interesting to me personally.
Mr. Thompson, you will be aware that there's a very active discussion about whether or not there is a bubble in tech, particularly the private companies that have yet to come to the public markets, valuations on Uber and the like. What do you say to people when you hear that conversation underway, which I understand is quite common in Silicon Valley itself?
Well, I think if you look at what has happened, the consumerization of IT is real, that more and more consumers use technology today than ever before. And while we can point to the bubble of 2000 and the collapse shortly thereafter, that bubble was driven very much by, quite frankly, enterprise buyers, not so much consumer buyers. And with the consumer being as strong as they are today, I don't think this is necessarily a bubble that burst or collapsed quite like we saw in 2000 or 2001. That being said, valuations of some of these companies are quite high. And the question becomes, is this a safe place to park money in light of low interest rates? And given low interest rates in the markets around the world, people are looking for leverage, and leverage does come in the form of early stage investments.
And in answer to your own question, do you think it's a safe place?
Well, I've got about 20 or so private investments of my own in very, very early stage companies. So obviously I have a sense that it is somewhat safe. No early stage investment is guaranteed. And so if you're unwilling to take the risk, you should not be in this market.
It's good to see you, sir. Come back any time. John Thompson there.
My pleasure.
The chairman of Microsoft, and also with his latest investment, one of many, Rubrik.